Shedeur Sanders. But before we get to the firestorm brewing in New York, let's talk about the spark that lit it. Tom Brady. Yeah, that Tom Brady. The 7-time Super Bowl champ. The GOAT. The avocado ice cream ambassador. The guy who spent the last decade turning himself into a billion-dollar brand while flexing for cameras on yachts, in suits, and on every media outlet that would air him. That Tom Brady just got caught taking a very thinly veiled jab at Shedeur Sanders.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
You probably saw it. He was on some podcast or panel, whatever, and said something about what he looks for in quarterbacks. Something about how he values guys who don't celebrate too much, who just do their job and respect the game. Sure, Tom. Tell us more about your minimalist, humble approach while we stare at your $375 million Fox contract and NFT startup portfolio. Now, let's not be naive. This league thrives on coded language. We all know what that kind of talk means. Brady wasn't describing a quarterback prototype. He was describing Shedeur in reverse. He was painting a silhouette of everything Shedeur isn't. Flashy, confident, self-branded, unapologetically himself. So when Brady hit send on those comments, you could practically hear the dog whistles echoing around the league. And the worst part? You could tell he thought no one would push back. Like it would just be another day of old-school gatekeeping from the NFL's golden boy. But this time, people did push back. Because the internet is no longer that quiet room where legends speak and no one questions them. Social media lit up. Analysts, fans, players, especially younger players, they saw the hypocrisy. And they called it out. Loud. Because let's be real, Tom Brady built an empire off his name, his brand, and yes, his personality. He might have played the humble servant of the game on Sundays, but off the field, man was out here launching documentaries about himself before he even retired. And now he's got the audacity to shade Shedeur for showing a little confidence, for having swagger, for being the modern quarterback in a league that's slowly being dragged out of the 20th century? Yeah, no, not today. And you know who else wasn't having it? The New York Giants. Now here's where this gets very real, very fast. While other teams were side-eyeing Shedeur like a too-hot-to-handle prospect, brilliant, but potentially disruptive, the Giants, they leaned in. Because New York, of all places, knows what it means to be misunderstood. To be loud, unapologetic, real. They like that fire. They want that edge. They've needed it. And when Brady's comments went viral and the league started circling the wagons, the Giants did something nobody saw coming. They stood with Shedeur. Behind the scenes, conversations started buzzing. Whispers turned to meetings. Personnel started reviewing tape. Not just highlights, everything. Locker room, demeanor, huddle command, post-practice interviews. And what did they see? A quarterback who gets it. Not just the game, but the moment. The media, the brand, the business. They saw someone who could not only handle the pressure of the New York spotlight, but maybe, just maybe, thrive in it. Think about it. A quarterback who can throw 40-yard lasers and handle viral headlines in the same breath? Who talks like a CEO and plays like a general? That's not just a player. That's a franchise changer. Meanwhile, the Browns have him third string, buried behind a bridge quarterback, and a guy who's still trying to find his rhythm. And the Giants? They're looking at that like it's a gift-wrapped mistake. Because for them, Shedeur isn't just a potential starter. He's a statement. A statement against the old boys club. Against the whisper networks. Against the gatekeeping that's kept so many talented, outspoken, confident young black quarterbacks stuck in limbo, while mediocre system guys get shot after shot. Let's be real, if Shedeur looked and acted like a Brady clone, he'd already have a starting job. But because he celebrates after touchdowns? Because he wears chains? Because he smiles too much and talks like someone who knows his value? He gets called too much. And when Tom Brady makes comments like that, vague, polished, passive-aggressive, what he's really doing is trying to maintain a status quo that works for guys like him. But that status quo? It's breaking. Because people are done pretending performance is all that matters. We see the politics now, the double standards, the systems that prop up some guys while telling others to wait their turn indefinitely. And Shedeur? He's not waiting anymore. That's why the Giants stepping into this conversation matters. It's not just about scouting a quarterback. It's about challenging the narrative. It's about saying, we're not scared of confidence. We're not scared of personality. We want winners, and we're not going to pretend to be blind to bias anymore. And maybe, just maybe, it's about sending a message to the league. We see your politics. We raise you performance. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean Shedeur's packing his bags for East Rutherford tomorrow. But the wheels are turning. And in this league, when a team like the Giants shows interest, others follow. Fast. So where does this leave Shedeur? Exactly where he's always been. In the crosshairs of a league trying to figure out what to do with someone who refuses to play by the old rules. And yet, somehow, still keeps winning. Because that's what the league doesn't know how to handle. It's not just that Shedeur's talented. It's that he's unbothered. Every time they try to rattle him, he doubles down. Every time they try to box him in, he breaks out. He doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, doesn't fit their mold. He just keeps showing up. And every time he does, he brings the future with him. So now it's our turn. Is this Brady just being old school? Or is it a strategic, subtle campaign to keep Shedeur in his place? Is Shedeur just too flashy? Or are we finally confronting the uncomfortable truth about how this league handles confident, high-profile black quarterbacks who don't fit the quiet, humble archetype? And if the Giants actually pull the trigger and go after Sanders, do they become the team that finally breaks the cycle? Or just the first domino in a much-needed shift across the NFL? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. This is your conversation, too. And if you want more deep dives, dramatic breakdowns, and unfiltered takes on the stories the league hopes you don't talk about, hit that subscribe button. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just fighting for snaps. He's fighting to change the game. You're still tuned in? Good. Because this is the kind of story that doesn't just get left behind after a news cycle or two. This isn't a flash-in-the-pan controversy. This is a crack in the foundation of the NFL's old power structure, and the tremors are only getting stronger. Shedeur Sanders is no longer just a talking point. He's a lightning rod. And now, with the New York Giants watching closely and Tom Brady's comments backfiring on the public stage, it's clear. This isn't about one player anymore. This is about change. Let's just say it plainly. Brady's comments were strategic. They weren't off the cuff. They weren't innocent. And they weren't just veteran wisdom. Nah, this was a chess move, a bad one in hindsight, but a move nonetheless. Why? Because Shedeur Sanders threatens everything guys like Brady have spent their careers building. Not just a legacy of winning, but a template. A model of how quarterbacks are supposed to behave. Reserved. System first. Buttoned up. Uncontroversial. Marketable in a safe, sterile kind of way. But here comes Shedeur. Gold chains. Custom cleats. Instagram captions that go viral. TikToks with his teammates. And most importantly, game. Real game. Command of the pocket. Pocket awareness. Throwing dots across the field and reading defenses like a veteran. The talent is undeniable. And yet, he's buried. Third string. Developmental. Waiting in the shadows while less explosive, less dynamic, and frankly, less talented quarterbacks are getting reps he earned. So when Brady starts pontificating about humility and not celebrating too much and respecting the game, let's call it what it is. Gatekeeping. He's not trying to guide the next generation. He's trying to keep a door half closed for people who make him uncomfortable. Because Shedeur isn't just good. He's unapologetically himself. He doesn't need to imitate anyone. He's not cosplaying as the next Brady or Manning or Breeze. He's not trying to sand off the edges of his personality to make traditionalists feel better. He's doing what Brady never had to do. He's building a legacy while fighting for legitimacy. And the worst part? He shouldn't have to. But here we are, in 2025, still pretending the NFL is a meritocracy. still pretending every player is judged by the same rubric. Please. Shedeur is sitting third on a depth chart while half the league is praying their starter doesn't throw 3 interceptions and pull a hamstring in the same quarter. Meanwhile, he's out here running scout team and torching the first-team defense in practice. And the response is basically, let's give it a few more months. But you know who's not buying that? The New York Giants. Let's talk about them for a second. A team that knows what it means to be overlooked, to be underestimated. A team that, frankly, has needed a spark for years. Not just a good quarterback, but a new identity. Enter Shedeur. Now, imagine him walking into that locker room. Imagine him in MetLife Stadium on a Sunday afternoon. Cameras flashing, national spotlight beaming, Shedeur in all white, warming up with his team. A team that's not asking him to shrink, but to shine. That's not just marketable. That's historic. And that's why the Giants' quiet support speaks volumes. They're not tweeting slogans. They're not issuing statements. But the interest is real. The talks are real. And the respect? It's loud, even if it's not public yet. Because here's the truth no one in NFL boardrooms wants to say. Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback of the future, whether you like it or not. He doesn't need your approval. He doesn't need your he's matured think pieces. He doesn't need a mentor to teach him how to smile through disrespect. He just needs a chance. And the minute someone gives it to him, it's over. He'll take the job. He'll take the locker room. He'll take the post-game mic. And he'll do it his way. Which brings us back to Brady, a man who made a career out of being underrated, who turned being drafted 199th into an empire. And now, he's punching down at a 22-year-old kid trying to navigate a league that Brady helped turn into a closed-door country club. The hypocrisy writes itself. You can't spend a decade selling your TB12 brand, dropping lifestyle tips on TikTok, wearing $5,000 suits, and headlining documentaries, and then criticize the next guy for being too focused on branding. It's giving rules for thee, but not for me. And the fans aren't having it. Twitter, yes, still calling it that. TikTok, Reddit. Everywhere you look, people are rallying around Shedeur. Not just because he's good, but because he's a symbol now. A symbol of what happens when the old guard gets uncomfortable. A symbol of the double standards that still shape this league. A symbol of what it means to be bold, talented, and unfiltered in a system that fears all three. And let's be clear, this isn't just a black quarterback story, though race is absolutely part of it. This is about control. It's about a league that thrives on predictable personalities. Players who do the dance, say the lines, fit the mold. Anyone who doesn't, they're a distraction, a concern, a character risk. And yet here's Shedeur proving again and again that you can be authentic and elite, that you don't have to neuter your personality to play quarterback at the highest level. And for that, he's getting punished. That's what's really on trial here. Not his playbook, not his footwork, not even his potential. What's being judged is his freedom to be loud, to celebrate, to walk with swagger, to speak with confidence, to say, yeah, I know I'm him, and I'm not apologizing for it. And when Brady takes shots like that, he's not just speaking for himself. He's echoing the voices of every owner, coach, and GM still scared of what football looks like when they're no longer in control of a narrative. But guess what? That narrative is slipping. The old rules are fading. The gatekeepers are getting drowned out. And players, like Shedeur, they're not waiting for permission. They're kicking the doors open. So what now? Do the Giants make a move? Do they pull the trigger and become the team that didn't just talk about change, but build around it? Do they give Shedeur a system, a city, a locker room that actually believes in what he brings, not just what he could be? If they do, the NFL won't be ready. Because what comes next isn't just a quarterback story. It's a reckoning. It's the beginning of a new era, one where confidence isn't punished, where authenticity isn't feared, and where talent doesn't have to fit a mold to be taken seriously. Shedeur Sanders is more than ready. The only question now is the NFL. Shedeur Sanders is no longer just a promising young quarterback buried in someone's depth chart. He's not just a story. He's not just a debate. He's a reckoning. And what Tom Brady unintentionally did, with his little passive-aggressive swipe masked as quarterback standards, was give that reckoning a megaphone. Let's be real. Brady thought he was making a statement about professionalism, about humility, about doing things the right way. But all he really did was remind everyone exactly what's wrong with the way things are done. Because every word that came out of Brady's mouth, every smug comment about not over-celebrating or not being all about the brand, was laced with a message that's been whispered through NFL boardrooms and scouting departments for decades. Act the part, or you don't get the opportunity. And who defines the part? Who gets to write that script? Spoiler, it's not the players. Especially not the ones who look like Shedeur, talk like Shedeur, move like Shedeur. Brady's comments didn't come out of nowhere. They came from the fear that his era, the one where players had to play the politician, suppress their personality, and play the media game with white-glove precision, is coming to a close. Because here's the reality he's not ready to face. The NFL doesn't belong to him anymore. It belongs to the next wave, to the players who own their image, who command attention off the field just as confidently as they do inside the pocket, to quarterbacks like Shedeur who understand that the sport isn't just about X's and O's. It's about impact. And let's not pretend this is some wild, baseless uprising. Shedeur Sanders has the tape. He has the reps. He has the numbers. He has the composure that 90% of rookie quarterbacks don't have, and 100% of coaches pretend not to see when it comes with swagger. But instead of being celebrated for it, he's getting punished. Not for fumbling the ball, not for making bad reads, but for daring to be visible before he's been anointed. That's what's really going on here. This league still can't handle confident young black quarterbacks unless they're quiet about it. They want Lamar Jackson to be electric, but humble. They want Jalen Hurts to be dominant, but deferential. And when a player like Shedeur walks in the room, fully aware of who he is, fully confident in what he can do, it makes people like Tom Brady very uncomfortable. And you know who didn't flinch at all? The New York Giants. They didn't sit back and parrot Brady's message. They didn't double down on some integrity of the game nonsense. Nope. They leaned in. Because the Giants have been desperate for a quarterback who can own the moment. Not just manage it. Not just get through it. But own it. Daniel Jones was supposed to be that guy. But let's not kid ourselves. He's serviceable at best. The franchise isn't sold. The fans definitely aren't sold. And the front office? They're already looking for the next thing. And now they're looking at Shedeur like, wait a minute, if the Browns are dumb enough to bury him, maybe we should be smart enough to pull him out. That's not speculation. That's a paradigm shift. Because for decades, this league has whispered the same tired phrases about young quarterbacks. Needs to mature. Still learning the system. Let's not rush him. Can't let the spotlight get to his head. They said it about Cam. They said it about Lamar. They said it about Kyler. And now, they're saying it about Shedeur, except this time, the whole world is watching the playbook in real time and saying, nah, we're not buying it. Because let's be honest, if Shedeur Sanders were a different type of quarterback, if he had a different haircut, different skin, and said all the right buzzwords, he'd already be starting. He'd be on the cover of Sports Illustrated with headlines like, "The future is now." But instead, we're watching one of the most poised young quarterbacks in years get iced out because he doesn't play the game the way they like it. And you want to know why fans are pissed? Because we've seen this before. We've lived through this before. We watched Colin Kaepernick get blackballed for kneeling. We watched Cam Newton get mocked for smiling too much and dressing too well. We watched Lamar Jackson slide in the draft because he should consider switching to wide receiver. And now we're watching Shedeur Sanders get held hostage by a depth chart he's clearly outgrown. But here's the beautiful part. He's still winning. Because the court of public opinion, it's shifting. Fast. Fans are no longer quiet. Players are no longer scared. And teams, especially teams like the Giants, are no longer afraid to say, maybe the problem isn't the player. Maybe it's the system. And if the Giants pull the trigger, if they make the bold move and build around Shedeur, If they say, we don't need another robot in a helmet, we need a leader who can command a locker room on the spotlight and play his damn game, then everything changes. The excuses evaporate. The narratives collapse. The NFL is forced to evolve. And you know what? They need it. Because this league is still playing catch-up in a culture that already left it behind. We're in the era of player empowerment, digital storytelling, personal branding, and unapologetic confidence. And you're going to try and bury a quarterback for being modern? No. That era is done. Shedeur's time isn't in the future. It's not next season. It's not when he learns the system. It's now. And if the Giants, or any team for that matter, has the guts to recognize that, if they can cut through the noise and say, let's stop playing scared. Let's stop playing favorites. Let's play the best. Then Shedeur Sanders will do the rest. He'll walk in, lace up, and take the game his way. The only way he knows how. So now the spotlight turns. Not to Shedeur. He's ready. But to the league. To the front offices. To the head coaches still clinging to the way it's always been. Because the next move? It's not his to make. It's yours. Are you going to keep pretending confidence is a red flag? Or are you going to let talent speak louder than tradition? The clock's ticking. And Shedeur? He's already warming up. Let us know in the comments. Should Shedeur demand a trade? Are the Giants the right team to break the cycle? Or is this the beginning of a full-blown league-wide reckoning? And don't forget to subscribe. Because if you think this firestorm is cooling down anytime soon, you're not paying attention. Shedeur Sanders isn't waiting for the system to accept him. He's here to redefine it.